There's nothing wrong with being ordinary, nothing at all. But as people, we should always strive to be exceptional in everything we do. What's up, guys? It's your boy Ty. I appreciate y'all coming to check me out on my channel. My channel is all about making sure people are aware of the different avenues to get a piece of the pie. And alright, I've been waiting to talk about this ever since I seen the early warning summit video. It's so many things to cover, And you guys, I got a lot to talk about in this one. You guys can stick with me, or you can just sit back, listen, because there's a lot to talk about. The early summit was great. It couldn't be any better if you ask me. I know at the end they tried to sell the power portfolio to you, which is there, right? They are exceptional investors and well decorated analysts, but that joint hit hard. So there's a few key things that really stood out to me. Of course, we already knew EV is going to be big. That was one of the big things that they talked about. They talked about how EV is going to be big and people need to really pay attention to what they invest into. And they also talked a lot about what's needed along with EV, like lithium, and how semiconductors are really going to boom too, because EV vehicles require a lot of them. All of that made sense. It made so much sense. But what really hit home with me was how Luke was talking about, like, before the internet, all you had to invest in, if you knew the internet was going to be big, was the internet. And you would have made out well. You would have became very, very, very wealthy. Before, as long as you know what's going on in the economy and how things are evolving, if you put your money there, you can have extraordinary gains. And that really hit hard. I was like, okay, I see you. So typically, we all like to spread ourselves throughout the stock market and make sure that our portfolio is very, very, very diverse. It makes sense, right? But if something's going on in the culture, in our history, and you can really capitalize on that opportunity because you know what's going on, you see it unfolding before your eyes, why wouldn't you capitalize on it? Why would you still put your money into something like a grocery store or something like a regular dividend? I'm still gonna invest in my dividend stocks. Don't get it twisted. But I was looking at some of the stocks that I had and some of the growth stocks that I had, and I was like, they are growth plays. Yeah, I was like, all right, I don't think I want to keep them anymore. I want to put them in what's going on. Put my money in what's going on. So that's what I did. I changed up my portfolio quite a bit. And we're going to go down and see what I did with my money moves. That's why y'all here. Let's get into it. So first off, as you guys can see, you guys might notice something different. Let's see if you notice it. Well, if you don't notice anything, I sold my ETFs. I sold 2 of my ETFs. 3, matter of fact. I sold 3 of my ETFs. And I'm going to tell you why I did it. All right, so I sold SPHD. That's my dividend ETF, right? And it spreads me out over a whole bunch of different dividend companies. It gained a good, I think over the last year, maybe like 28%, 29%. That's cool, right? But if it's a dividend ETF and I'm mainly worried about getting in dividend companies and getting my dividend payout from it, how about I just, go invest into those dividend companies? because everybody knows when you have an ETF, ETFs are great and they're easy ways to invest. ETFs are. But you also know that both, especially when you're talking about dividend ETFs, you do know like the dividends go to the owners of the ETF first, and then they give you your cut from that, right? So they get a cut. They get their cut off top, and then they give the dividends to the shareholders, and they decide what's the average dividend they should be paying people. So how about I cut the middleman out? Especially when my dividend companies are growing exceptionally. Right now I got it on, let's go to total returns. Let's switch it to total return percentage. So I got a few dividend companies that have been performing exceptional. You got Lowe's, pretty good. EPRT was growing like a growth stock at one point. But I'm good with my companies. I've been picking great companies, and some say it's because the whole market is in a bull run. But at the end of the day, I know what I want, and I got rid of the dividend ETF. All right, I got rid of the dividend ETF. I got rid of the Motley Food Index ETF, and I'm gonna tell y'all why I got rid of that too. And I got rid of my Fidelity Healthcare ETF, and I'm gonna tell you about that too. So again, we're going back to that video. It really inspired me to, like, if I know my stocks, whatever sector I'm in is doing great and is booming and it can last through whatever the market does, why wouldn't I double down on them? Why would I still be paying someone else to pick stocks for me, which is what an ETF is doing? Why wouldn't I just go get it myself? And again, I don't want to knock ETFs. ETFs are great for new investors, but I definitely feel like I'm past that point. If I wanted to, I can create my own ETF, which we all can. It all depends on what you want out of your portfolio. And right now, I want high dividend companies, and I want a little bit of growth. And I think I'm on to something with the sectors that they put me on. All right, so let me show y'all too what happened when I sold my dividend ETF, all right, and invested into some of these companies that I've been in it. I didn't add any more companies on my dividend side. I just went heavier into companies that I'm already in and that I had faith in. And let me show you the results. So we're on Dividend Watch. This is my portfolio on Dividend Watch. This right here was my portfolio. Yeah, it's still on it. This was my portfolio while I still had those companies. All right, so you come down here. I haven't refreshed the browser yet. You see I still got SPHD, and my total annual dividend is $370 a year annually. All right, so now I already updated this, so I'm just gonna refresh this browser now. Oops, let's go back. So I'm just gonna refresh this browser. Let's go back. All right, now I'm gonna go to my game winning portfolio. I refreshed it, and since I made the updates, you guys see what happened. I'm making more dividends, so I'm making more off my dividends. So I'm making $407 annually off my dividends. All right, the number portfolio value change. Basically, owning the actual companies instead of the dividend ETF brings in more income easily, because again, you're not paying the overhead that comes with owning a dividend ETF. If you go get it yourself, you'll be much better off when it comes to your annual dividend income. But let's see what I did, because I made a lot of moves. All right, first, let's start by some things that I think I left out on my last week money moves. So I sold ADT and Prospect Capital. They were my free stocks. I don't even know why I kept them this long. They were just free. So I cashed them out. Went on and bought something else with it. So I bought Omega Healthcare with some of the money that I had left over. I bought another share of Omega Healthcare. And I got a dividend from SPHD. It's good that I got the dividend from them before I went on to let them go, right? Alright, so I didn't add any money to this portfolio. Not this week. No money to my stock portfolio. But I made some moves. I swapped some things around. I went on and sold my position in the Motley Fool Index. And of course, you guys know it's an overall market index. The Motley Fool is. But again, I'm under the impression that it's something big coming in. If I wanted for growth, which was what the Motley Fool Index was for me, it was just a position solely for growth. It wasn't for dividends. It was just for growth. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and let them go, and I'm going to invest into something different. So I invested into 2 Semiconductor Stocks. They right here. SciTime and Camtech. Alright, SciTime and Camtech. But we're going to go back. I'm going to double back to those real quick. And I sold my position in Hiko. I went on and sold that position. Hiko, I just had like 2 shares. But I got Northrop Grumman, and they're both basically in the same sector. And I like Northrop Grumman because it gives you a dividend and is in the sector. So I like them a little better. Hiko didn't give me a dividend. It was solely for growth again. So another company that was solely for growth. I was like, okay, again, if we're going to be talking about the next big thing, I put that into Semiconductor. I put that into these 2 companies too, SciTime and Camtech. Delta, I only had 1 share of Delta. Again, it was one of those ones that wasn't paying me a dividend. So I was just holding it for growth, or don't even know why I held it that long, because I still got Southwest, and I just sold it. And I invested it into something else for growth. It would be different if Delta was paying a dividend, but they stopped paying their dividends. So I won't hold in it for dividend growth, and I won't hold in it because I thought it was going to keep growing exponentially. So I might as well just put that into something that's going to grow me some money. The Fidelity Healthcare ETF I had right here, FHLC. It's a great ETF if you want to be in the healthcare field and you don't know what to invest into. That's mainly why I'm investing into it, but I invested into it for growth. I didn't invest into it for dividends. It was a growth investment. So I got that because I didn't know. It grew roughly around 30%, 20%. I think it was like 23 because of this dip. I think it was like maybe 23%. I got a little growth. So yeah, I sold it again. And with that, I invested into CRISPR. I bought more shares of CRISPR. CRISPR is one of those stocks. It's down right now. It's been tanking down for a minute right now, but CRISPR still is on the edge of is on the verge of some cutting edge technology. It already has the technology. It just got to get more precise. And CRISPR might end up curing cancer, and they can do a lot of other things with their gene splicing. But yeah, CRISPR. I went on and invested into CRISPR. I already had my position in CRISPR, and I was down, so I just averaged down on my position in CRISPR. And I bought some more of TPGY. That company's kind of still under the radar. They're supposed to be just like ChargePoint, but they're supposed to be merging and become EV Box. They haven't yet because the merger is getting a little shaky. Somebody, I'm thinking EV Box wants a better deal from what I was reading on Reddit and around a few other places. But yeah, I think the merger still can't happen because if they don't do the merger with them. They can't merge if EVBox doesn't do the merger with TPGY, which is Pace Beneficial Finance. If they don't do it with them, they'll be, I think they can't do a deal with anybody for like a year or two or something like that. But either way, the stock is moving just like ChargePoint, but it's below ChargePoint's price. So it might look a little different, but if you pay attention to TPGY and ChargePoint, they both are doing the exact same thing. And when that becomes EVBox, I definitely think that's going to be pretty good. If you don't know what ChargePoint is and EVBox, they are charging stations for electric vehicles. In that video, Luke pointed out that ChargePoint was one of the places to invest. Me, I was already in EVBox, well, Pace Beneficial Finance, and I was waiting for it to become EVBox, but it's been some type of slowdown with negotiations. They got to come out with a statement by the end of this year. I might do a video on that, but they got to come out with a statement by the end of this year to see if the merger is still going to be on, and it could turn to EVBox by sometime next year, what people are forecasting, if the deal still is on. So I definitely think they are one to watch. If the merger and that deal happens, they're going to be just like ChargePoint, just like it. So I doubled down on them. I bought more of them. I sold my position in Nerd. Again, Nerd, it is the gaming industry's overall market ETF. Yeah, I sold it because, again, I was in that for growth. So I sold that and I doubled down on Corsair Gaming. Corsair Gaming is still a great company. The company has a great balance sheet. I still think they can go the distance. So I just invested into them. So I kind of was simplifying what I had. With the ETF, I was going around in the broad market, but I feel like I know the stocks that are gonna have the most potential to explode. It's like if I'm in something for the growth of it, I need a solid position in it and don't have my money all spread it everywhere. If I know something is gonna take off, that's what kind of that video taught me. And watching that video, it was like, okay, I get it. I get it. If you know something's gonna explode, why wouldn't you double down on it? Why wouldn't you put your money in it? Especially if you can see there's an actual good thing, and you know that industry or that company is booming. It has potential. But that's why I just got rid of ETFs. And at the end of the day, ETFs, they are great. They are great if you want to have safety nets. But my portfolio is heavily involved in dividends more than anything. Like, this might look crazy. Yeah, he just sold all his ETFs for certain stocks. But my portfolio is majority 80%, 80 to 85% dividend companies. And I have very, very, very heavy percentages in I have heavy holdings in these dividend companies. So my portfolio, if I'm talking about something that gives me growth and dividends, I need to go hard on my growth companies for them to even impact my portfolio. See what I'm saying? If I want, my safety is my dividend companies. So yeah, I went on to show that ETF Nerd, and I invested more into Corsair Gaming and TPGY. I bought some more of that, and you guys see I bought some more Camtech. Like I said, I was selling those and I was trying to feel how much money I had. All right, and like I said, TPGY. Then I sold SPHD. I had a lot in this dividend ETF. It's a dividend ETF. So you know what I did? I doubled down on my dividend companies that I had. I have some solid dividend companies, and that is what made my annual dividend increase. So instead of owning this ETF, which was just a monthly paying dividend ETF, which was into some of the companies that I already have in my portfolio, I went on and got rid of it so I can get rid of the overhead. Because again, when you own ETF, you are paying somebody else to manage the fund. All right, so I invested a little more into Phillips 66. I invested a little more into 6th Street, EPRT, which is really my favorite REIT, and that's my biggest position right now. My biggest position is in EPRT, a REIT, in my portfolio. It's my biggest position. Bought some more Coke. I bought some more Omega Healthcare. I bought some more Acre, which is another REIT, and SDIV, which is a dividend ETF. And I'll tell you why I have that dividend ETF. I didn't sell that one because what that dividend ETF is a global dividend ETF. Of course, I don't know what companies to invest in globally. You have to be on all types of different markets to get that benefit. So that's why I kept that one, because it is giving me some diversity and investing into the global markets. So I kept that one. Yeah, I kept that one. But yeah, that's what I did. Like I said, it looks like there's a lot going on, but it's really not. All I did is I took a dividend ETF, SPHD, and I took those funds and I spread it out between the companies that were already invested into, that I already believe in, that have already been doing me good. I invested into them. I broke that up, and then I broke the overall market ETF, which was the Motley Food Index and all those other ones. I broke them up and I invested into the companies that I already had in my portfolio that were in that sector. So I still have my diversity. I just doubled down on the companies that I already think are gonna blow. See what I'm saying? So let's talk about these two semiconductor stocks. All right, before we go there, I want to go back and talk about, like I said, this hyper growth that they were talking about, doubling down on companies that you know are going to blow. And I want to talk about that just for a second, because he said in the video, and make sure you go back and watch the video, it dropped some knowledge. He said the best way to beat inflation is to get this hyper growth, right? So looking at my portfolio, right now you can see that overall I have grown 32%. You know, that's great. Average portfolios grow like 10% a year. I grew 24%, almost 25%. By the end of the year, it'll probably be 30%. I grew 30% in 1 year. That's great, right? You want to give yourself a clap, right? In this day and time, in the bull market, that's ordinary. That's what that is. So right now, I'm happy about my performance, but my performance is ordinary. I get a C. It's a bull market. For this portfolio, I get dividends, great, but you can still get dividends and have great portfolio growth if you invest into the right stuff. So again, I didn't go negative. Growth is growth, right? I get a C. As I said at the beginning of this video, you should always strive to be exceptional in everything you do. So that's why I'm switching it up just a bit, because this is ordinary growth. I'm not ordinary. So I think I'm exceptional, so I'm going to strive to be exceptional. And that's why I'm switching it up. And I'm pointing this out too, so you can see my yearly growth, right? And if I did exactly what they said do to beat inflation and invested, go hard on those companies that you know are going to pop because what's going on in the industry, let's see what it look like. SiTime is a company I just invested into, and they had a growth of 187% for the year. Right? You just saw my ordinary portfolio. I'm glad I got my 30%. If I would have invested in side time, put everything in my money, all my money in side time, 187% for the year. All right, it ain't all that. Man, since its inception, it's 1,746% up. And this is what he's talking about. He's talking about if you know which companies will do this, and this is a semiconductor company, you know which companies will do this, you will win. You will win. This will beat out any dividend investing, because at the end of the day, you can just go cash out your money and then go get your dividend companies. That's what a lot of people do. That's a growth dividend strategy, you know. But man, if I would have came in the game, because that's around the time I started investing. Started investing in 2018, I believe, 2018. So if I knew to do exactly what they said do, invest in the times, semiconductors, because we know EV cars need a lot of them, I could have had 1,746% growth. So yeah, I put some money in semiconductors. And like I said, side times, this is a semiconductor company. Make sure you do your research. And something else. Well, let's go to the next one. We're going to go to the next one real quick. Camtek, ticker symbol CAMT. They had a nice growth for the year too, 118%, even with all this craziness going on. And right now the market is supposed to be dipping, right? Where you see this, where they drop at, you don't see it. And that's what he was talking about too. Like, these companies aren't going to drop no matter what the market is doing. So it kind of made me want to double down on it again too. But what I'm going to be doing is, if I do add money to these portfolios, like my stock portfolio, I'm going to be making sure I invest a little heavier into these, areas that they pointed out, just so I can have a decent holding in it. And I'm not selling any of my stocks, like dividend stocks, because I still like my dividend investing. It really does give my portfolio a safety net, especially if I do this. I got my dividend stocks to give me a safety net, and I got these hyper growth potential stocks. I ain't saying they, but right now, like I said, this company is up 118%. You go out to the 5-year mark, 1,491%. So this is another semiconductor company, and it's a lot of them. There are a lot of them. I like these two. I'm in them now. It is what it is. But make sure you do your research on them. But if you come down, let's come down, because what he was talking about is that all companies in this field are gonna do that. And the reason I like the two companies I just showed y'all is because they are small cap companies. They're small cap companies, and they have great potential. I just showed you NVIDIA, however you say it, NVIDIA, and you saw 1,000+% growth. AMD, you see 1,000+% growth, and I still have AMD too, by the way. 9 shares in them. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I saw that one myself. But these small cap companies, they have potential to keep growing too. So I'm in 3 different semiconductor companies: Camtek, AMD, and Simtime. Yeah, I mean Satime. He's saying Simtime. Satime. So yeah, check them out. And that's what I'm gonna be doing in my portfolio. That's what I'm gonna be doing. All right, so I'm gonna be investing a little heavier in these companies. And again, back to the video, he said that this area is gonna boom. And what it's gonna be like a bunch of boats are in the water, when a big tidal wave is coming. All of them gonna rise up. Some will rise up higher than others, and you kind of gotta look for them. This one, man, this company hasn't even been public that long. Sad times, and it's taking off like that. I had to get them. I had to. And when you come down, 100% buy. 100% buy on Robinhood. Yeah, it's Robinhood, but you see that PE ratio? Oh my God. But yeah, I'm in it. I'm in it to win it. In it to win it. It's a pretty high company, but that's why I only have 3 shares. Maybe I might save up to get some more. Because, I mean, at the end of the day, this is a sector that has been booming, and if it continues to boom like it's doing, man, we can win. And we did hear that the demand on chips are high. We know last year there was a chip shortage. Computers needed. EV cars definitely gonna need them. You know, and everything we doing with the technology advancements needed. All right, so we was talking about, I didn't go into the lithium field yet, but that's semiconductors. I told you about EV box, and let's look at that real. All right, this is Pace Beneficial Finance. As you guys see, it's took a beating. It's been taking a beating, but it hasn't been out that long. You see what I'm saying? It hasn't been out that long. But this is a SPAC, and it was solely created to become EV box. All right, they still working out the deals and stuff like that. Me, I have an average position at 15 because I got in a little high and I kept buying. But y'all see how the graph look. You go to the year, you see how it look, right? And you know they supposed to become EV box. So if that does happen, EV box is one of the biggest charging stations in Europe. They're trying to expand and come to the US, and they got a deal with ChargePoint, so you can seamlessly use either of their charging ports. They got a deal for that, so they can capitalize on the whole market. So if this company does become EV box, I have no doubt in my mind that it's gonna do great, especially when the EV vehicles hit the scene. But yeah, and I want to show y'all what this looks like compared to ChargePoint. So it says for the year it's down 3.9%. I'm pretty sure when I slide down here, ChargePoint is gonna be number 1. Gosh almighty, ChargePoint down harder. But they look similar. They're going down around the same time. So heck, you should be mad at this opposed to ChargePoint, especially if you got in around that. Oh my God, you got in that high and then it didn't tank down. You mad. But yeah, they basically look the same. Both of them are down for the year, but they definitely are great sectors. All right. Now with that being said, now let's go to crypto. I gotta talk about it. All right, now on the crypto scene, money moves I made. You guys can see I added Cosmos to my portfolio. So now I got the Graph, AMP, and Cosmos. And I like Cosmos because you know I'm a dividend investor, and you get that 5% APY. Get that interest on owning Cosmos, on owning Atom, Cosmos, on Coinbase. So I'm in that too. And I definitely think all 3 of these companies are primed to go. So in that video again, they talked about the blockchain, and the blockchain being the future too. So that's another field I think is gonna have this hyper growth. And you gotta be on board and know what to look for. Again, this is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just showing y'all what I do. And AMP, the Graph, the Cosmos, I think they're gonna do great. And also, those semiconductor stocks are probably gonna do great too. So check them out. I appreciate y'all checking me out. This is a lengthy video, but I had a lot to talk about. All right, come back and see me. I always got a lot to talk about.